I represent the Yay area.
Hey, what's happening, y'all? It's DJ Ron, the classic DJ. I want to welcome you back to the culture. You early supporters out there, y'all probably remember me from Flow Improve. I did like 51 episodes where we broke down our artistry of legends. 51 episodes covering E40, Be Legit, Tupac, Sebo, Too Short. Not as guests, but as topics that shaped episodes. We studied their flows. We talked about their errors and also the impact and the culture responded. You know what I mean? So here I am again, leveling up. This is the rebirth, y'all. This is the evolution. This is classic flow. The mix, the culture, the movement. So let me just introduce you and let y'all know what classic flow is. Welcome to classic flow, where we go on the flow again. We prove why certain albums, certain artists, certain years are forever timeless. Now, I appreciate those that have been rocking with me again from the very beginning. And for those that don't know me, I'm DJ Ron. Again, the classic DJ from the Bay. That is the Bay Area of California. Been DJing now this time around for like 20 some odd years, close to 25 years. And I say this time because when I was younger, I would DJ for, around my neighborhood, that kind of stuff and everything. Nothing too seriously or whatnot. But here I am at the tender age of 52. And of course, hip hop is 52. Both of us born in 1973. I've been around the music for a very long time. So I'm going to share, not saying I know all about it. I'm going to share what I do know and just like to get y'all in on the flow or whatnot. And we're going to talk about the year of 1984. So we're going all the way back. 1984 was the foundational year. You know what I mean? It's a year that really set the tone. That's when we started having classic albums because prior to then, there were a few, but albums was not the thing. Everybody was dropping 12 inches. They was dropping 45s and whatnot and just singles. That's what it was. Single, get on the radio, hopefully make some money, rock the party, go from there. You know what I'm saying? And then when the album started coming out, it really started taking off. But before we jump into this timeless journey, I'm going to ask you to lock in with me. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe. It helps the algorithm push the culture. You understand what I'm saying? I'm still brand new with it. Close to about 1,800 or so subscribers. I'd like to get to 2,000 by the end of the year, 2025. So that's why I need your help. And make sure that you stay to the end to see what my pick is going to be for album of the year, 1984. Recent subscribers, I got to give y'all a shout out like we always did on Flow Improve. We're going to continue to do it here. A shout out to Yomo. That is Yomo at 415. Shout out to you. You know what I'm saying? I've seen your subscription as well. Shout out to D Money at Dennis Miller, J8P. That's the way you spell it. That's how I'm saying it. You know what I mean? And then shout out to Michael Mosley Jr. at Michael Mosley Jr. 5794. Mike Mosley, the producer's son, holler back at me, baby boy. Let me know. You know what I mean? Because definitely like to get Mike Mosley on here, talk about some of that clicks, some of that sick with it music or whatnot. You know what I mean? And, Mike Mosley Jr., you got something going on. Look, it's an open format. You know what I mean? Welcome you onto the platform. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, I do have some artists that I'll be featuring as well, but we're going to stick with this episode now. As I always do, shout out to the supporter subscribers. And this time it's going to be Raider Rich 9165. Shout out to Raider Rich. So again, this is Classic Flow 1984, the mix, the culture, the movement. Let's get into it. Some of the top rap albums of 1984 were groundbreaking, to say the least. You know what I mean? And most of y'all may remember 1984. Those of y'all from the Bay Area, y'all remember Magic Number Video used to come on Friday night on all the way on Channel 48 when we only had like 12 to 15 channels. And then you could hit your UHF knob, and then you could go a little bit deeper, Channel 20, Channel 44, Channel 48, Magic Number Video, every Friday night. Didn't miss it. You know what I mean? The boy Isaac, I think his last name was Newsom, wore the little glasses and whatnot. Always dropping new music, letting us know what was happening. You know what I'm saying? Then we had our mainstays as far as rappers go. You had your Curtis Blows. You had your Grandmaster Melly Mel and the Furious Five, who had really kicked the door in for rap as far as putting attention on rap. We started off with, in 79, with Rapper's Delight. 82, it was The Message. And then not long after that, we got Planet Rock. And again, these people, they was dropping 12 inches, looking for the perfect beat in 1983. And then again, the year of the album, 1984. Some of the newcomers with full albums was Nucleus. Y'all remember them, right? And then we had the Egyptian Lover had a full album. You know what I'm saying? And there was a few more of them, but those are like some of the main ones. Well, actually, I'll take it back. Let's go ahead and share. We have Run-DMC. That's when they dropped their first album. We have Fat Boys dropping their first album, and then we had Whodini dropping their album Escape. So really, it was a magical time at that time. And the thing about it was, you still had stuff like UTFO. I think Roxanne may have dropped in 1984, but the way that the algorithm was back then, stuff would have to get hot and in circulation in the New York area before they even thought about crossing country and coming to the West Coast. So taking a quick little drink. They really didn't get hot until 1985, so we're going to stick with the ones that we know that came out in 1984. I mentioned the Egyptian Lover. Now, one thing I didn't know back then is that Egyptian Lover was from Los Angeles. Did you know that? I mean, he came out, he was early West Coast with that electro influence, and he was talking about Egypt, but he was actually out of the LA area. You know what I'm saying? Again, let's talk about the top songs before we get into the top album, because I'm actually going to tell you my top song of that year. You know what I mean? That's not on an album that we're going to break down, because I'm about to talk to top three. That's what it's all about. So that year, I mentioned Egypt. That was a cut. We had songs like Electric Kingdom by Twilight 22. Ooh, they had another song called Siberian Nights, but it definitely didn't reach the level of Electric Kingdom. The message that they were talking about, the way life was and everything.
Please stop rapping. Ain't it a pity, cause you hate the city. But the way you feel ain't no big deal. You got to survive, and that's the real.
Understand, that's what rap really was about. It's either about having a lot of fun or talking about the challenges that was faced by people from the inner city, namely black folks. You know what I'm saying? So Electric Kingdom was a dope song, and they fit the category with something to dance to at the same time, talking about what was going on, right? Then we had It's Yours by a new cat named T-Lot Rock. You know what I mean? Classic joint, especially for people out in New York, you know what I mean? And he got some airplay over there on the West Coast as well, you know what I mean? Wasn't in my tape deck, I didn't have it on any mixtapes or nothing like that, but I knew the sound of it, I knew it was fresh. Mantronic, I believe, was doing the beats and whatnot, so anything Mantronic touched back then, dope. Yeah, fresh, all that good stuff. But for that year, Jam On It has my vote. And remember Jam On It just to know that, as soon as the bass line dropped, you knew that it was party time, you know what I mean? And then they say, we're going to rock it right and all that kind of stuff. And they was having fun. And then they wiggy, imitating the scratch sound that was fresh on the scene too. So Jam On It was an adventure, like a true adventure when you listen to it. And it's like an 8-minute song. So, it definitely got the floor rocking. People on the floor couldn't stop until the record was done. You know what I'm saying? Just like they said, just until your eyesight starts to get hazy.
I said, don't stop the body rock till your eyesight starts to get hazy.
That's what he said. Dance on the flow till your eyesight starts to get hazy. Why am I mentioning that part? Because they actually have some lyrics too. When they talk about Superman coming to town and everything, and the battle between Cosmo and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And he said, I rocked this set with a 12-inch cut called Disco Kryptonite. You know what I mean? Because Superman was like this big old foe. Was like a super rapper back then, you know what I'm saying? And he didn't have no fans to cool his amps. He used his super breath, you know what I mean? But Cosmo say he stood up there to that boy, you know what I mean? And rocked the party, you know what I mean? So, hey, the storytelling was impeccable. The jam was impeccable. Top song of that year, not on these three albums. What are the top three albums of 1984? If you heard it already before, I'm going to say it again. The Fat Boys, self-titled LP, The Fat Boys, on Sutra Records. It was just a great album. It's actually the first album that I ever owned. Excuse me, I drink a little water. I remember I got my first little stereo that year with a little tape deck on there. I had a record player, and my mom was one of her good friends, worked at a record store. She blessed me with my first album. It happened to be The Fat Boys. You know what I'm saying? I was a skinny little kid back then. Didn't have this like I got right here now. You know what I'm saying? But I had The Fat Boys. Listening to Jailhouse Rap and all these different songs was just mind-blowing to me. Now, she gave my cousin the next album, which is the Run-DMC self-titled album, Run-DMC. I was cool with that back then. Run-DMC wasn't number one on my radar at that time. You know what I'm saying? I knew a little bit about the Fat Boys, but Run-DMC music really wasn't radio-worthy as of yet because their music was stripped down. The Fat Boys had production. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, they had the beatbox, which was a cool gimmick at that time because that was something brand new added to the scene. But they also had melodic productions, you know what I'm saying? So when we talk about the song, the title track, Fat Boys, they had the music that was going real smooth. Shout out to Richie Rich. He sampled it for his song Playboy, which is a classic. Rich, I'm trying to get you on the platform, man. I'm gonna hit you on that messenger thing, you know what I'm saying? We'll talk about it. But they was really saying something. You know what I mean? They talk about having fun, all that kind of stuff. But when you listen to it, Marky D said stuff like, "Trying to battle me is like a musical." It's like, no, what do he say?
I'm soldier in for surprise, cause I'm hard as a rock and my name ain't Tom. Try to battle me is like the fusing of bombs. The red, wild, the orange, the purple and blue. One MC ain't enough, you're gonna need two to beat me.
Trying to battle me is like the fusing a bomb. The red wire, the orange, the purple, and blue. One MC ain't enough. You're going to need two to beat me. You know what I'm saying? Dope. I mean, when you think about it, it was primitive back then. You know what I'm saying? So to be talking about rocking the party and or battling MCs and staking your claim like that was just, it was actually genius. You know what I'm saying? Because we looked at the Fat Boys, just these fat boys that's up there rapping with the dude, beatbox and everything else. But you really looking and they saying something. You know what I'm saying? Then you had Cool Rock Ski, who still living. Shout out to Cool Rock Ski, man. The West Coast, man. We was rocking y'all way back then. I still spin y'all music, you know what I'm saying? So if you see any streams, just know DjRon, the classic DJ from the Bay, still streaming y'all stuff. It's a couple songs I can play at the party too or whatever. But he said way back then in '84.
No fool, got too much bone at the rock party, right? I can do that too. Get slack, never whack, take a full contact. Cause I'm the chief of the East, on top of the stack. Cause I can use my mic as a money maker too. Cause I'm the master of the rhyme and the MC scoop. Cause I'm cool, I keep a dominating MC. And when I'm on the stage, the ladies scream for me.
I can use my mic as a money-making tool, which, again, a lot of people was rapping just for the fun. Some people saw an opportunity to make money, but it wasn't really like that. It was like an early mindset shift. It was like, wow, you can really make money off of rap? Yep, and the Fat Boys, they definitely did that. I think they was one of the first commercial rappers to whereas had a movie, you know what I'm saying, and some more stuff. But that wasn't the only cut, though. My song, one of my favorite songs on that album was "Don't Dog Me" because I like the message. You know what I'm saying? And once again, they were sharing their lyricism when they talked about storytelling, the relationships they had with the ladies they was with. You know what I'm saying? I had this girl. She was so fly. She was my girl, and I was her guy. I love this girl with all my heart, but little by little, she would tear it apart. I'm talking $10 here, $100 there. She wasn't the same. She has me anywhere. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm sure I wasn't of age at that time. Definitely wasn't putting no money in no girl's hands or nothing like that. You know what I mean? But I'm sure some brothers like, man, you know what, girl, don't dog me. You know what I'm saying? You heard what they said? You know what I mean? But then my boy, and he showed this in the Crush Groove too, when they was out in the hallway. Y'all remember when Crush Groove was, they waited till the bell rang, they made sure they was there. And they basically had an impromptu concert at the school in the hallways. You know what I mean? Shout out again to the Fat Boys. But when Cool Rock said, diamond rings and pearls is what I give my girl. If I had enough money, I'll buy the world. Take her for a ride in a white limousine. I treat her like a queen on the hip hop scene. And then the music, when they break down and they add them organs and pianos, shout out to their producer. I think Curtis Blow was producing music back then. Again, the melody and all that kind of stuff. It was just some great songs. And then we get to the aforementioned Jailhouse Rap. Storytelling at its finest, where they made up stories, obviously, where they about breaking in and get food or stealing food from, I believe it was from Burger King or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But that was cool. The first two parts was cool, but that third verse was life lesson stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm sure there's some brothers nowadays that feel this way. They got locked up in jail for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? But he was saying, you're in there, you don't have no knives, you don't have no guns, and then you remember you're your mama's son. You know what I mean? You used to worry and make her stay up all night, all kind of stuff. You know, they talked about the accountability, they talked about the consequences, and they talked about respect. Much respect to the Fat Boys for that song. And then the next song was Stick 'Em. Now, this is a song where they had a video for. I personally was surprised. Of course, Jailhouse Rap had a video, but I'd have thought Don't Dog Me would have a video, and Fat Boys, the title track, would have a video. But no, they had a video for Stick 'Em. And I remember it being like not an echo, but like a reverb. They had it, what is it? Where they had it like, the effects on it was like, not 3D, but you know, it wasn't 3D. It was like reverb, but from sight though. You know what I'm saying? And man, they was rapping it. And I remember the Human Beatbox was also on the turntable. So I gotta ask you, Cool Rock, you know what I mean? Was Buff a DJ? Anybody out there you like? Don't forget to comment. You know what I'm saying? Like, drop a comment and just let me know. Was he actually a DJ because he was scratching in the video with his hand, with his butt, and everything else? You know what I'm saying? So Buff's influence on early 808 beatboxing is unsurpassed still to this day. You know, as a matter of fact, That last verse, cool Roski, as you can see. Go listen to it again. You're gonna hear Buff imitating the 808 sound that hadn't been invented yet.
Kowalski, as you can see, master of the Zessa, the chief of the East. And when I'm on the mic, I'm making it just hip hop off this. I'm qualified, too hot to handle, too cold to hold.
You know, 808 did come around to 1985, and LL Cool J and Run-DMC was the first two that actually, and original concept, acknowledge me. Well, the first three, Dr. Dre, the original, the big Dr. Dre was on Yo MTV Raps, was a part of that, if I'm not mistaken. He's part of the original concept. He was the one that invented that bass drum kick that we have in music that's evident all the time now. We take it for granted. And then Run-DMC came with Tougher Than Leather, and then LL had it on Rock the Bells and on Yo Rock. So the deep bass kick. But it was Buff who simulated that on Stickum doing his thing. Maybe he knew Dr. Dre. I don't know. But we didn't know we was on the cusp of brilliance actually. And that was beatbox brilliance at its finest. Last but not least was on that song is Can You Feel It? And to me, it was my most slept on track. I ain't gonna lie. It was a song I didn't really like. The hook, Can You Feel It? And all that. I just wasn't rocking with the Fat Boys on that. I would just turn the record over or fast forward on the tape if I was listening to it on tape. And I definitely didn't make no mixtapes with that song on there. However, Drew Down brought it back in 1996 on Can You Feel Me? Folks from the Bay Area, y'all know that extra bass and whatnot on there, and it just was a slap. So now when I listen to the Fat Boys version, it's like, you know what? This right here, this is cool. You know what I'm saying? It's a straight up party record. And they saying stuff like, can you feel the rhythm? You'll be on time with the depth momentum, you know what I mean? And it's all about a call to action to get the people on the dance floor, you know what I mean? And he said the jam is halfway through.
The jam is halfway through. You sit down for a while, a young lady approaches with a very big smile. She wants to dance, but your feet are sore. But later for that, you go and dance some more. You do the hustle, bust up, and even the samba. You make up a dance, corner island to rumba.
And so it's just fun times for real, man. You know what I mean? And we can relate to that now. Of course, me DJing for all this time. That's my whole objective. Anytime I DJ is to get people to get on that dance floor. You know what I'm saying? So who knows? Yes, of course, I'm open for bookings and whatnot. DjRon-7573 at yahoo.com. But what I'm trying to say is, especially when you got an 80s, 90s party, I'll let your boy, you know what I mean? I'm going to come through and do it. Classic style, flow style, with the mix, with the culture, and the movement. You understand what I'm saying? So look, that album right there, that's my third favorite album of that year. Again, they was on Suture Records. They really got a record deal with the label just because they was in a talent show trying to win some stereo equipment. You know what I mean? And they did so good. They got first place, which was a recording contract. And ultimately, they took it, which could be the reason why he said I can use my mic as a money-making tool. Makes a lot of sense when you think about it. You understand what I'm saying? But next album, the second album of the year, you know what I mean? Of course, he's going to give away the third one, but that's all right. Keep on rocking. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to subscribe. But the second album of that year is Run-DMC. Self-titled album, Run-DMC. Why is it not first? I'm going to tell you in a minute. But understand this. If the first one was 1, this is 1A. You know what I mean? Run-DMC came to the door hard. As a matter of fact, their first song was Hard Times. You know what I mean? And I want to know this. I want y'all to let me know in the comments. Did you know that was a remake? The song Hard Times is actually a remake. They took Curtis Blow's classic. Well, I'm not going to call it classic because they made it a classic, but he took Curtis Blow's song. It was a message about life, thus the Hard Times. And they put that trade-off chemistry on there. You know what I mean? Where they was trading each other rhymes and everything. And
Hard times spreading just like the flu. Watch out, homeboy, don't let it catch you.
Watch out. Now, if I had somebody here with me and they knew the lyrics, I could be Run, they could be DMC, or we could flip it. They could be Run, I'd be DMC. I know both verses either way. And don't laugh at me or whatever, especially young people. Y'all make sure y'all stay tapped in with me because I'm going to take you on the hippest trip back into time, and then we're going to come up to now. You know what I mean? But you need to know this stuff. You know what I'm saying? In order to know where you're going, you got to know where you came from. You know what I'm saying? Those two were the best, and it was mostly on this next track where they showed it. Now, me personally, when somebody want to hear a hip hop song, there's 5 of them that I could go to just say this is what hip hop music is all about. You understand what I'm saying? I'm telling y'all now, this is one of them songs. This is one of my favorite songs of all time. I'm gonna tell you my second favorite song on the 1985 series. So, spoiler alert, there's going to be a 1985, 1986, so on and so forth. Sticking with 1984. Rockbox by Run-DMC is my favorite song of all time. And again, it's my go-to when somebody needs to know what hip-hop is all about. You know what I mean? The way they finish each other's sentences on there and how they rap and they tell the story about rocking a party. They clowning peoples and stuff like that. Yeah, and hold on, let me pause for a cause for a moment because I didn't mention another record of the year. And remember these songs that I mentioned that's not on these albums. Another title is for or top title is for Song of the Year. "Step Off" by Grandmaster Melly Mel and the Furious Five. And on that song, it's believed it came out after this album came out, and it's believed by DMC.
If you listen to "Step Off" by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, they were talking about us. Saying all you suck MCs are perpetrating the fraud. Well, what did Mel say? What did Mel say on it? Step. Little pieces of a dream is all you mean ever since you stepped on the MC scene. Biting your moves, taking fake awards, saying everyone else was perpetrating the fraud. But you're nothing. Mel says that on there. Mel said he thought Run was talking about him on Sucker MCs.
It's believed by DMC that they were talking about Run-DMC because they didn't like how Run-DMC was coming through, making money and making a name for themselves, and they felt like they were being dissed. That was their answer. It wasn't heard by a lot of people and nor paid attention to like that. But you listen to Run when he say, "Boy, Sucker MC's perpetrating the fraud." He comes out. First thing he's saying. He said, no, he said, "You're the kind of guy that the girl ignored. I'm driving the caddy when you fixing the Ford." You know what I mean? Just some nasty work. You know what I mean? And he goes on to say what he says. And we could hear glimpses of DMC finishing the line and whatnot and everything. But it wasn't to the next verse when he said, "I took the test to become an MC and didn't fail." Sound like a dope rap, right? But then when you go back and listen to Sucker MCs, he talks about it. When we had DJ Run started off 2 years ago, everybody know that. It's like if nobody don't know anything else about Run-DMC, King of Rock, and 2 years ago, a friend of mine. You know what I mean? And so that basically, yes, I transitioned to the next song, but Sucker MCs was basically the Run's origin story, how he got started. And he says stuff like Dave cut the record down to the bone. Dave was a real person. Notice he doesn't say Jay because Jam Master Jay wasn't with the group yet. He had this song together. He wrote the rap and was put in the studio by his brother Rush. And just by process of elimination, DMC had to be on the record because he needed somebody else. There was supposed to be, I think he said, a young lady or something like that wasn't available, or another young boy who wasn't available. So Run talked DMC into it. Thus you hear DMC coming in. I'm DMC. The place to be. And he tells a story about St. John's University and everything else. You know what I'm saying? Ground level history. If you didn't know, now you know. You understand what I'm saying? But that wasn't it, though. You had, on the flip side of that, or actually Sucker MCs was take a little sip of tea. Sucker MCs was the B-side to It's Like That. And that's the way it is. Now, that song right there, go back to Crush Groove, probably the best hip-hop moment of all time. Just the way the storyline, how it led up to it, to where Run and Russ got into it. And Run told Russ, he said, they not saying Russ DMC, they saying Run DMC, you know what I mean? But Run reluctantly goes out, and then he has this epic intro. We had a whole lot of superstars on the stage tonight, but this is my house. You understand what I'm saying? And then, I wish they had this remix somewhere on the album, but I've done a party before where I mixed this part in when Run DMC, you got to go look at them in concert. You'll see it. You can appreciate it a whole lot better. But when Run say that,
DJ Run, my name, Jam Master J is his. He's DMC. It's like that, and that's the way it is.
throw this hat across the room right now. You know what I'm saying? You just got to know the charisma they had, the electricity that they brought, And still to this day, my favorite concert I've ever saw. And I saw them in concert before I even saw Crush Groove. So don't judge me. That's just the way that it was. Best acts I've ever seen in concert. I've seen them like 3 or 4 times actually. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Run-DMC. That was that's their history on that album. It's like that was all about the social commentary though, with a dope beat with the boop 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 boop. Shout out to Larry Love, man. Larry Love, he's a producer extraordinaire that does not get the props that he deserves. Let me say that now, because he not only produced that album, but he produced the album of the year too. Which, if you don't know, you're finna find out in just a moment. But that song right there was reality rap before it had a name, and they were very good as far as being reporters, letting you know what was going on in the community, in the ghetto, in the hood, in the world. You know what I'm saying? Groundbreaking stuff by Run-DMC. Which brings me now to Whodini and the album Escape. Top album. First of all, Whodini was a little bit older than Run-DMC, so they had that grown man gang. You know what I'm saying? And then they had Larry Love, which, if I'm not mistaken, they flew overseas to get this album done. It was produced overseas. They went overseas, so they didn't have the distractions of the everyday New York, what they gonna eat, where they gonna go, and how to get home and all that kind of stuff. So they basically was just locked in, you know what I'm saying? And what we got was not just an album, it was a moment in time. First of all, you had 5 singles. Now, I just talked about the top 5 songs from Fat Boy's album. I talked about the top 5 songs, in my opinion, from Run-DMC album. Did they have more cool songs? Of course. How This Crew was dope. Talking about Jam Master Jay was dope. The song for Jam Master Jay was dope. When they gave him his flowers, they rapped about the DJ, which very common back then. But this album, again, 5 singles, meaning these 5 songs were on the radio. You had Friends. You had 5 Minutes of Funk. You had Freaks Come Out at Night. You had Escape, the title track. And you had Big Mouth. But some people don't understand that. They say, well, Escape wasn't a single. Yes, it was. They actually had a video for it. Freaks Come Out at Night. They had a video for it. Friends. I think they had a video for it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody let me know in the comments. I think they had a video for Friends, but if not, they should have, because Pound for Pound, that's one of the best rap songs ever put together. It's also on my list of top rap songs. Remember I told you about Rock Box by Run-DMC? Friends is another song that somebody has never heard no hip-hop music before. Old, young, whatever. Listen to this. You're going to find out about it. I'll tell you why in just a moment. Every one of them was a hit, though. Every one of them a part of history. You know what I'm saying? And I'm friends with Jalil of Whodini, you know what I'm saying? And he posted not too long ago, because the album just made 41 years old. And he said the title was inspired by Steve McQueen's The Great Escape, a movie. Jalil prayed that the album would affect people's lives in a good way and have longevity. Let me say something to you, Jalil. The Lord has answered your prayers, because as a DJ, Whodini has more dance cuts than anybody, including Run-DMC and the Fat Boys. Remember, I told you about Nucleus, but they had that one song. Egypt, that's that one song. Step Off is one of my favorite songs, first rap song that I've ever learned the lyrics to, but ain't nobody requesting that song, though. We get to Whodini. First of all, I play 5 Minutes of Funk just about every time that I DJ. It's a great way to open the album up. It's the first recorded cut for the album, and it's inspired by Grandmaster Flash's 7 Minutes of Funk, which consequently sampled the beat from 7 Minutes of Funk. But they didn't use that music. They just used the concept of that song, though. These according to Jalil. So say using Jalil's words, but according to Jalil, he said the 7 minutes was too long, 3 was too short, 5 minutes was perfect. And it was. When we talk about an anthem, back then, cars started having 6x9s, little stereo systems, some woofers, stuff like that. It was a little bit louder. We hadn't got to the power drivers and all that yet, but we did have some loud music. And just about every car was playing that. Not to mention, it's been sampled countless times. The aforementioned sim sounds I just told you, the bass line, the drums. I could go on and on, but I'm not here to uncover people sampling things and stuff like that. If you know a song that sampled 5 minutes of funk, though, go ahead, drop it in the comments. I'm telling you, the songs are countless. There's many of them. But here's the thing about it, though. I wish somebody would actually do the whole song over because these lyrics were hit today in 1985, and excuse me, in 2025. When the boy Ecstasy say, hold on, let me think. The party didn't start. It's Jaleel. I had to think for a minute. Jaleel, let me say, first of all, bro, because I'm going to put this clip on my Facebook. Your pen is highly respectable. Jaleel and Ecstasy, when they said something, they were saying something. But I'm talking about a cultural truth that's true to this day because most people still feel this way. The song starts out, the first verse, the first cut of the best album of 1984. First voice you hear is Jaleel.
Now the party didn't start till I walked in, and I probably won't leave until the thing ends.
People still feel that way now. The party ain't a party until they get there. So that's what he mean. He said the party didn't start till I walked in. Then he get player with it though. But in the meantime and in between time, you do your thing, girl, and I'm gonna do mine. We came here together so we can have fun. Me and you, baby, going one-on-one. And you better get busy at this moment because this is your last chance to either get loose or you ought to get lost. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to be on to the next. And then by the time Ecstasy come on, the party's in full swing. It's rocking. Me and my partner from the start, we usually get together after dark. Sometimes we rap, sometimes we sing in the summer or the winter because it ain't no thing. Oh, my God. Come on. Y'all know Ecstasy. 1 for the... Oh, my goodness. 3 for the ladies. 4 for the plays, 4 for the 5 minutes of funk. This ain't no junk. So move your bottom. I know it. You said it with me. Come on, y'all. Y'all know ladies real pretty from city to city. But now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Classic joint then, classic joint now. The showstoppers, they call it, and I got to put it in the mix. I don't care what age group I'm DJing. Well, you know, the little youngsters don't know nothing about it, but you know what I mean. It could be a 70s party, it could be an 80s party, it could be a 90s party. 5 minutes of funk is going to be in the mix, and guess what? They're going to be funking off that. Next song we're going to talk about, though, let's talk about Friends. Once again, Jaleel shared a little insight on this, and he said, after a long night at Disco Fever, they took the train from the 167th Street to Brooklyn. They heard a song called Why Can't We Be Friends about war, and they loved the song, but they rarely played it, though. They hardly ever listened to it, but they analyzed it. Then they flipped it and they created a new Friends. First of all, one reason why Run-DMC didn't get as popular in the beginning as Whodini is because Run-DMC had that stripped down sound. All they had was drums and that's it. And then the rock guitar on Rockbox and maybe one other song. Everything else, Jam Master Jay was just looping stuff and just making beats like that. Real, raw, top album of 1984, if not of all time. Whodini, though, in France, just had the drums, boom, 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 boom. It'd have been a dope song. But then they had the hook. And it was a kind of hook, before their time, they had a hook that it wasn't call and response, but it was a song that everybody could sing along with. We still hear a whole bunch of them now. That's the formula nowadays. Drake, that's all they do is they do hooks where everybody can sing along. Whodini was doing this in 1984. But then they had a message that was relevant. How many of us have them? Friends. Ones we can depend on. Friends. Before we go any further, let's be friends. Classic stuff. This is what classic joints are made of. And then we get the definition to the best ability in the beginning. They traded rhymes a la Run-DMC, but it was Whodini doing their own thing, though. That grown man twist. You can look the word up again and again, but the dictionary doesn't know that meaning of friends. And the other one, if you ask me, you know I couldn't be much help. Because a friend is somebody you judge for yourself. Somebody okay, and they treat you real cool, but some mistake your kindness for being a fool. Then it goes back to ecstasy. We like to be with some because they're funny. Others come around when they need some money. Some we grew up with around the way, and we're still real close to this very day. How many people y'all know like that? You know what I mean? And then the second verse, when Jaleel tells a story about him and a young lady, and it's true. oftentimes when it's all about sex, it's a lust relationship and not a love relationship. You tend to go too far without going far enough. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know where it just came to an end because we became lovers before we were friends. And then ecstasy come on and just tell the whole story about a shiesty young lady taking another lady's man. Man, y'all need to go revisit that stuff. Play the song for your kids. You know what I'm saying? You're old enough, you got some kids. Your kids 5, 6, 7 years old. Play it for them. Life lessons that still teach to this day. Shout out to John Lynn when he said a lesson well taught is a lesson well learned. This lesson has been taught over and over and over again. Then he got another lesson. Well, actually, let's talk about Freaks Come Out at Night first. Ecstasy. A lot like how John Leo, this is a song after 5 Minutes of Funk. Remember, 5 Minutes Funk started, the party start to, I walked in, I probably won't leave until the thing ends. Well, Ecstasy starts the next song off.
Discos don't open till after dark, and it ain't till 12 till the party really starts. And I always had to be home by 10, right before the fun was about to begin.
Man, if you was a young teenager or whatnot, you know that's where it was. Everybody had that curfew. 9 o'clock for some, 10 o'clock if you're pushing it. You know what I mean? And you always heard about it the next day. Oh man, too bad you couldn't stay because it was up. You know what I'm saying? That's how we say now. You know, it was up, it was stuck, it was up. You know what I'm saying? But back then it was live. You know what I mean? And he says just one reason to rock the house. He said, but in the daytime, these same people were nowhere around. So the freaks come out at night. You know what I'm saying? And Jaleel talk about what they look like when they come out at night and everything. All right. Dope song, dope concept, and once again, dope production. It was immaculate. Larry Lott, same one who produced for Run-DMC, produced for these guys, and it was just it was impeccable to say the least. A lot of this music can be sampled to this day, and it still would sound good. Which takes me now to the title track. Very, very underrated song because again, you talk about life lessons and everything. The first verse talks about a typical day, like a bad day for him, and he's like, I gotta escape. You know what I'm saying? I left my house this morning on the way to work. A lady on the train spilled coffee on my shirt. People started laughing like it all was funny. I went home except I needed the money. You know what I'm saying? You don't think people feel like this today? It ain't gotta be coffee over here. It could be anything. A lot of times people want to call off, but they need the money. Got to go. You know what I'm saying? And times is hard. My boss is crazy. The guy who works with me is so lazy. Sits around all day, drinks coffee and tea. Expects all the work to be done by me. You've been working long enough. You know about the 80-20 rule. 80% of the work gets done by 20% of the people. Sound like he was sitting next to the 80% and hardly do no work. He was part of the 20%. You know what I'm saying? The next verse, though, he says, he starts it off. I buy lottery tickets every chance I get. And if I hit, I got to place my boss to kiss. My friend's a backstabber, so I stay out alone. Actually, said I hang out alone. I had to think about it for a minute. My friend's a backstabber, so I hang out alone. Think it's crazy on my job. It's no better at home. My girl, she's mad. She drives me wild. All she be talking about is diamonds and stuff. She wants diamonds first. Now she wants kids. But what she needs is somewhere else to live. As my conscience tells me to give her more time, but one more second might blow my mind. The pressure's building up on me more and more. I've gotten so I'm doing things I've never done before. I need a break, y'all. I can't take this place. I feel locked up and I want to escape. That's the whole title of the song, right? The problems that's going on or whatever. But they weren't talking about problems of war. They was talking about real dilemmas, real problems going on in everyday people's lives. You know what I'm saying? And then you got Big Bro Ecstasy coming on.
So you want to leave a job, but you need the funds. Take a sick day off, find another one.
You gotta love when somebody's not focused on your problem, but focusing on helping you find a solution. We need more people like that in our lives. And he said, if your girl or your man ain't treating you right, so you're not talking just to Jaleel, he's talking to you too, lady. It's the same bunch of headaches at night after night. Don't go crazy trying to please somebody else. You don't owe them a thing, but you owe yourself. So do what you gotta do in order to escape. Now, I love that part right there, but I'm gonna advise you now because it's the only flaw in the song. He could have been more clear. Not no drugs, not no alcohol. You know, do what you got to do in order to escape. You know what I mean? And take it from me because it's never too late. But then he goes to my way of escape. He said, because I'm breaking chains. I may never come back. I'm going to go out and get myself a rap attack. And if I like it a lot, I'm going to make it a double. And if you stand in my way, you're looking for trouble. In other words, I'm going to go somewhere where they play some good music. That's for me. I listen to some good music myself. You understand what I'm saying? So look, 10 out of 10, highly recommend. Oh, that right there is one of my favorite songs. I listen to this stuff to this day on my all my playlists. Whodini is definitely in the house. You understand what I'm saying? Speaking of Whodini, I didn't even have this on my list to talk about today, but the song "We Are Whodini" easily could have been the first song on there because they describe who they are. And I remember in concert they came out on that song. You know what I mean? We got what do you
We got
say?
a sound of our own on the microphone, and when it comes to rock, we stand alone. I'm the rapper John Lil, now I'm ready to rock. And once I get started, I'm hard to
What's
stop.
it all about? You know what I mean? And then they Grandmaster D, so I think they actually closed with that. Either way, I seen them performing live, and there's nothing to sneeze at. They definitely rock the house as well. They're in the top 10, if not 5, as far as my favorites in concert. Please, they had Grandmaster D on the turntable, lifting him up. His feet was in the air, and he's still leaning down, scratching and mixing and scratching everything else. Whodini was something to behold. You know what I mean? But I can't forget though the last record that they recorded for that album.
A big mouth, a big mouth.
In Jalil's words, his recounting, he said that him and Larry Smith, the producer, had a blowout argument. You know, Larry left the studio, so that meant there was no music. And Jalil Ecstasy, they just did it raw. They just did it a cappella. No music, just the bars. You know what I mean? Big mouth. You know, was they talking about Larry? Hey, only Jalil could answer that question. But there you go. You know what I mean? There's a rumor being spread about me and the crew about something we did or supposed to do. You might not have heard it, or maybe you have. But when I first heard it, all I did was laugh. I used to get angry and all that type, but you can say what you want, just spell my name right. Because all I'm ever guilty of is rocking the house. But that's not what the rumor was all about, which is why it was a problem, right? Because y'all lying. All I ever do is rock the house. Hey, y'all talk about something altogether different. You know what I'm saying? And then John, he come on there and said, people used to say that you had a big mouth. Oh, hold on. So you got to get XC his props. Favorite part for everybody. He said, because what he said, if you want friends, you could tell your friends, you see me again. Basically, he said, you could come to me and talk to me. You know what I'm saying? He said, one day I might not laugh. The day your mouth write a check, your behind can't cash. Everybody like that part. I know I messed it up a little bit, but please. Y'all know that was a classic. That was an iconic line. Shout out to Ecstasy, may he rest in peace. But then Jalil said that people used to say that you had a big mouth. Now I understand what they talk about because what we do is between me and you. So he's talking about him and his girl. Not something that you run and go tell your crew. And then he started breaking it down.
But you had to tell Sharon, and she told Carol. Then the story rolled on just like a wheelbarrow. Carol told Dee Dee, and she told Pam. And Pebbles overheard her talking to her man. Pebbles told Cookie what she thought she heard. And somehow Eazy-E had got the word. He told somebody I knew from uptown. And they called me up and put me down.
Man, I'm telling you, these boys are so raw. And it gives you an idea of what kind of women to stay away from. And people in general, you know what I mean? That just tell your business, especially if they lying on you, you know what I'm saying? They all got big mouths, you know what I'm saying? So look, I just want to close it out talking about how that East Coast influence and the West Coast connection came together, especially the Bay Area connection. You know, New York had the clubs, Bay Area had the cars, we had the blocks, we had the trunks, you know what I'm saying? Oakland, Richmond, Lake Mary, Whodini was everywhere, you know what I mean? Anytime you go out, they was everywhere. I understand what rap was all about, though. The rap was about the unity, you understand what I'm saying? And yes, we was on the West Coast, but we hearing stuff that's going on in New York, and we could just about relate to it. It wasn't exactly the way we were talking about, especially in the beginning when he said, you know, rats in the front, roaches in the back, or, you know what I'm saying, junkies in the alley with a baseball bat. We didn't have too much of that going on, but at the same time, we could understand when he said, don't push me because I'm close to the edge. You know, you can kind of get with that. You know what? I feel like I'm close to the edge too, which is why that record resonated so much. But by the time 1984 came around, it was all about the vibe. It was about rocking the parties from the east to the west and back again, you know what I'm saying, down to the south and up north too. I'm sure Chicago, you know what I mean, places like that have they say as well how Whodini was rocking everything, because the bottom line is this. It was a movement, and we found out later, soon, actually, real soon, that rap music was here and it was a force to be reckoned with. You know what I mean? Whodini, they broke the barriers before hip-hop even had walls. You know what I'm saying? So again, shout out to Ecstasy, RIP to Ecstasy, salute to Jalil, and understand this. You've been rocking with Classic Flow. I've been on the floor again. It's all about the mix, the culture, the movement. Make sure you like, you comment, and subscribe. And understand, we're going to talk about some more flows very, very soon. Because one thing about it, when it comes to music, Every beat tells a story, and the flow is what it's all about. Take care, and as always, God bless.